It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, I am very excited on this episode to share with you another reaction that I have recently filmed to the music of Pink Floyd. Back in late July, on our Patreon, we did a fan favorites episode where we were counting down our favorite modes of transportation as sung about in song, and we had quite a bit of submissions and a wonderful finished video that counted down some of our favorites in that category. In fact, just on Wednesday I released our reaction to Ghost Rider by Rush. That song was also in this countdown, but the song that won the entire countdown was Learning to Fly by Pink Floyd. Our Patreon audience loves their Pink Floyd, and whenever we get music from this band that shows up in a poll, a lot of people tend to vote for it, and I'm not mad at it, y'all. I really enjoy getting to know music from this band. I've gone through a lot of their really classic repertoire from the 70s especially, but this one's from their 1980s era of the band, and it's a little different for Pink Floyd, at least for me, but I still enjoyed hearing it. It's a fascinating tune, and I decided that, we should share this here on YouTube so that all of our Pink Floyd fans here can appreciate and follow along with us. So I am pleased to share my reaction to Learning to Fly by Pink Floyd with y'all now. Last one. Pink Floyd has made it once again to the very top of the Patreon voting. If y'all see Pink Floyd, y'all vote for it. And I'm not mad at it, y'all. The song is called Learning to Fly, and this one comes to us from Matt B. Matt says this is one of Pink Floyd's tracks from their Momentary Lapse of Reason album that came out in 1987. This is something a bit different from their earlier works. It has an 80s vibe, but it is still a classic from them, and I absolutely love this track. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Let me say this again. Just looking at the title, when I see Learning to Fly, I think Tom Petty. I can't think of a melody and tune or a sound from Pink Floyd that has that title, but I'm pretty sure that I'll recognize it when I hear it. I have to have heard this. This is the lead single from that particular album. It was the first album from the band that was done entirely without founding member Roger Waters, and we get the return of Richard Wright, who was last an official member of the band when they did The Wall. I have heard from this album On the Turning Away, and it's a beautiful song. And like I said, I'm not sure about this one. The rest of the tunes from this album, I don't think I know either. So this will be a good EPL at some point. I read that David Gilmour was literally learning to fly airplanes as a pilot during the time that this album was recorded. And he'd often go and fly in the mornings before coming into the studio in the afternoon. So we get Learning to Fly as a song. David Gilmour is on vocals, on guitars, on bass, and on some programming. Richard Wright is on backing vocals and the keyboards, and Nick Mason is on drums and percussion. This is Learning to Fly from Pink Floyd. Here we go. I've heard that. But this is Pink Floyd. I just know this as generic 80s song. I don't know anything about it, but I have heard that sound before.
Into the distance, a ribbon of black, stretched to the point of no turning back. Flight of fancy on a windswept field. Standing alone,
right?
My senses real. Fatal attraction.
So G, G major.
How can I escape
So that's E minor.
irresistible grasp? Can't keep my eyes from the circling sky. Tongue
Flat 7.
twisted, just an earthbound misfit.
1. Cool.
Ice is forming on the tips of my wings. Unheeded warnings. I thought of everything. No navigator to find my way home. Unladen, empty, and turned to stone. A soul
So we go to the 4 for the chorus.
to fly. Condition grounded, but determined to try. Can't keep my eyes from
Almost like we're in the key of the 4 now.
twisted, just an earthbound misfit.
Set. Mixtures rich. Propellers. Flaps set.
Airplane talk. Flight instruments, altimeters, check both. Lights. Cool. Strobes. 3-8 Echo. Ready for Above the planet.
Winging a breath. My grubby halo, the vague trail in the empty air. Across the clouds, I see my shadow fly. Out of the corner of my watering eye,
Fascinating production.
I dream unthreatened by the morning light. Could blow this soul right through the roof of the night. There's no sensation to compare.
There's no sensation to compare with this. Suspended animation, a state of bliss. Up in the air. So that's a C, down to A minor, then to F, to C, then to D, and that's how they get back into G. So both the verse and the bridge are built on a progression that goes in descending thirds, or the verse and the chorus. One's in G, one's in C, and then they get back. Well, cool. That's definitely David Gilmour's guitar playing. It kind of hid his vocal color with the effects. Interesting. But yeah, I've heard that. But I never, even for a second, thought that it was Pink Floyd. How about that? One of the benefits of doing a series and a vlog like this with all of these episodes and going through a bunch of this music from all of these great bands throughout the last 50 plus years is the opportunity to hear their music, not as it comes out, but just kind of in a historical sense. This is what they were doing at this time in their career. This is what their music sounded like in the late 70s. This is what their music sounded like in the early 80s. And now we're starting to hear what their music sounds like in the late 80s. And hearing the progression of musical influences, of the technology that they're using as they record, what they are singing about, what is going on in the world that influences their music at that particular time, how they play, the style that their music kind of meanders through, and it still sounds like Pink Floyd, but it's a little bit of a different sound. It's a really wonderful thing for me to be able to notice and to follow along and compare in my mind. It's really quite wonderful. I can sense, or I can understand how somebody that grew up with this band, you're coming of age and they're putting out Amagama, and they're putting out the what else was early on? The Dark Side of the Moon, Metal, Atom Heart Mother, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and then we get into the late 70s with The Wall. I mean, yeah, Pink Floyd. Concept albums, big swaths of prog excellence, and just soaring guitars, great bass playing, sturdy drumming, and Richard Wright's excellent harmonizations on the keyboards. And then you get into something like this music that we've just heard from A Momentary Lapse of Reason, and I'm like, is that still the same band? I mean, they're without Roger Waters, but it still sounds like Pink Floyd, just in a different way. And it's just a wonderful thing to hear and to be able to compare the two of them and not be caught up with, oh man, my band is changing. It's the 80s now. I long for the 70s. I mean, I can see where if I was in that position, I might like or shun some parts of the discography and lift up other parts. But this many years on, looking back at it, it's easy to see the progression of how the band's music and how the band members themselves were going through their career, was adapting to the times, and they were reflecting that in their music and in their art. And like I said, on this particular album, A Momentary Lapse of Reason, now I've heard Learning to Fly, and I have heard On the Turning Away. But as I look at the track list, I don't think I know any of these other songs. Signs of Life, The Dogs of War, One Slip, Yet Another Movie, Round and Round, A New Machine, Parts 1 and 2, Terminal Frost, and Sorrow. Sorrow is the last song on the album, and it's the longest song on the album. I have no idea what it sounds like. So I'll really be curious to get to the rest of this album. We do these, what we call EPLs, extended play lounges, over on our Patreon, and that is where we listen to full albums all in one shot. And we've got almost 100 of them at this point that we have looked at and listened to in their entirety. Some of them, a handful of them, I have shared here on YouTube, but the vast majority of them are exclusively available over on our Patreon, along with a whole lot of other wonderful and eclectic activity and videos and content for all of you to enjoy. So if you'd like to dive more into the Daily Doug universe, go over to patreon.com/Doug Helvering, and the community will be waiting for you. We absolutely love our music. We love each other, and it's a wonderful online community that is safe and affirming, and that's kind of hard to find these days. And so I very much love our community, and I cherish it, and I invite you to be a part of it if you would like. Patreon.com/Doug Helvering. You can get stuff like this, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's all great, friends. We just love sharing all this music. Thank you for following along with me as I am continuing in my journey to catch up on all this great music that I had just kind of let bypass me for the last 20 or 25 or so years, while I've been doing other things, teaching at the college level and really focusing on choir music and on classical music as a professor. This is really fun. This is really fun. And hearing songs like this, and how, and being able to just notice, especially a person like David Gilmour, from the early stuff to the mid 70s to the late 70s. Now he's the leader of the band, and all of these tracks are written or co-written by David, and he's doing the lead singing. And it's just great stuff. It just is great stuff. I loved On the Turning Away, and I really enjoy Learning to Fly, so I will definitely get to this album before too long, y'all. But when that actually happens, I'm not sure, but I will let you know when it does. And when it does, it'll probably happen over on our Patreon. So I believe that that is going to be all for me and for us here on the channel today and this week. I thank you very much for joining me. We have been listening to Learning to Fly by Pink Floyd. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.
It's the Daily Dog. Welcome to the Daily Dog. The Daily